Absolutely. So next we're going into parenting in racially and culturally diverse families. Miss Michelle.
Yes. Most of the children that are in care are placed within different homes, and different cultures or races from their own. This will, this will require some skills, that will be needed to best meet the children's need, in diverse families. The characteristics that this session focuses on is being having self-awareness, self-reflection, an appreciation for diversity, other world views.
That depends on what age. Am I wrong? Because I feel like, the young kids, they just kids. They don't know race or culture. They just, I don't know. That's just my opinion. They just know love and being a kid. But as they get older, they learn, you know, the differences. I could be wrong.
No, you're right. They get exposed to different language and difference of opinions and what the differences are. They start talking about it pretty young because they can see visually that there's differences amongst them, but they don't have the connotations, the racial stereotypes, or the history around those things the way the adults do. But they can visually see that there are differences. And it's interesting because when you have really young kids who are like maybe pre-K, you give them a picture to draw, say their family, and if they're in a biracial family, they understand there's differences. They're going to color their family members and represent them in different ways. It may not be at their forefront in the way that we look at race and ethnicity, but they can see that there are differences. But some of those connotations and how it plays out are more about the adults and what is imposed on us from society. Absolutely. So some of the terms we do use are nationality, ethnicity, culture, and race. They all are very much intertwined with one another, but they all mean something differently. And even when we talk about like Hispanic culture, in the Hispanic culture, there are so many different ways of representing. Are you Spanish? Are you Latinx? Are you Hispanic? There's different ways of looking at it. And we see that across cultures as well. And with race, there's also differences in terms of when you look at the social ladder across different in India versus China, Japan, the US, and how you look at how race impacts those differences as well. Michelle, anything else? So in this video, we're going to hear some children talk about their own firsthand experience and how they see and feel about themselves and how it has also affected how they view their family's race and culture.
I'm from Haiti and Nigeria. Like three things, like I'm Dominican, Puerto Rican, and Black. I'm biracial. I have an African-American father and an Irish-American mom.
My name's Lamine. I'm Muslim.
I'm Indian, British, Scottish, and American.
My parents are from Venezuela, and I was sharing like one of the foods that we eat, and then I got made fun of. They were like, "What is that? Ew. Oh, ew, what is that?" And like I cried because I felt like, oh, there's something wrong where I'm from. Like maybe like it's bad. Like I'm different.
I am an African-American adopted girl, only child, and I live with my two dads. I remember when I was younger, I went with my family to a restaurant, and they made us pay in advance just in case we didn't pay afterwards, and that was kind of upsetting.
You start to notice that people are different, and you have comments, they might be racist or they might not be, but by the time you get older, you know that it is racist and you should stop.
I feel a little scared about if I, just walk down the street, cops might just think I'm doing something bad, and then if I try to explain to them, they won't listen and then just start beating me up and doing terrible things to me.
I think there's like this anxiety that kind of comes with being biracial, like that kind of eats away at you, like almost like you have to prove yourself like that you're one or the other. Like, for example, like I hear the phrase, "You're not black," all the time.
People sometimes think that I'm supposed to like talk ghetto or like whatever that is.
Oh, she's uneducated because she's African American.
Because I'm Hispanic or Latino, I can't have like a lot of money.
Just this weekend, I went with my friend to Urban Outfitters and we were shopping and I really wanted to try on this dress. And then this lady that was just like there, she was kind of like watching me and I'm just like, I'm not gonna steal it or anything.
I think white privilege is the idea that in your everyday life you're getting treated differently and sometimes with more respect, or people just trust you more, or they have certain expectations of you, like you might be smarter or you might be wealthier because you're white. It makes me feel guilty sometimes, even though it's not my fault. Like I feel guilty for having a privilege that like I don't deserve.
If I was ever like the mayor or something that controls the policemen, I would want to go out and look in the neighborhoods where there are people that's very friendly so you can pick them instead of like these guys that's just doing all this training. It's better to pick people that's more minded with the community than to just pick some new guy and get on the street. Like, it's just not gonna work out.
We have like these kids from, they're Ecuadorian, and they get made fun of because they look Mexican. And they get told on a daily basis, oh, you like tacos? Oh, you like churros? How come I saw your mom on the corner selling ices? Like, it's, like, I feel bad for them personally, because I'm like, wow, like, they're not, and like, even though they tell them I'm not Mexican, I'm Ecuadorian, they still get teased.
Thoughts or comments?
It's crazy because we are living in a world where there's so much more diversity, and you would think that that would cause a lot of this discrimination, especially around young people, because young people, they're so diverse amongst their group that this isn't happening as frequently, but I guess it continues.
And we have to remember though too that it depends, our communities and our home communities, how diverse are they as well? So how much exposure do our children have to different cultures and different classes and representation so that they can get to know other people and other cultures, so that these moments of having, racial comments or making, the stigmas or things like that aren't taking place as frequently. Sometimes we overlook it because we feel like, okay, it's 2025, we've gone past that, we've evolved so much. But stuff still happens, and we know that. We see it in the news every day.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts or comments on that?
Well, my daughter, she's 17, and I noticed that the children around her age, coming from my community in New York, those children don't take things as personal as we did when we was coming up. Like, like a Caucasian boy or girl calling a Black female or boy a nigga, they don't take it personal like we do, like the older ones. She was like, that was back in your days, that was back in slavery days, let it go. That's how the teenagers are speaking now. So it does, I agree with what you say, is it comes from the community and it's a lot of factors. Just Lorraine said something too. She said it's not, she said something, I forgot what she said. You remember what she said? Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, that sucks. I hate when that happens, when you have that moment that you had a thought about it and then it just kind of fleets. That bothers me all the time. It happens a lot to us. Me and Michelle feel your pain on that one. But yeah, it's these opportunities to really talk about race and how they see themselves and how they see themselves in the world. So we can really help support them. I wish I had these kind of conversations when I was younger, because I grew up in a very affluent neighborhood, but I was the only little Hispanic brown child there. And of my family, I was the darkest one. So I got the comments of like, what house does your family work in? Because they thought I was just like one of the maid's children's in one of the houses. And I was like, really? So I grew up with a lot of those weird stigmas. And racial things, and the ladies following me around the store always. So I understand what some of those kids are talking about, and we have to be able to talk to our kids about that too, because we may think that no, it's not happening anymore, but it could definitely still be happening for our kids.
Yeah, agree with that. Like I was about to say to Tony, it's okay, and it's a good thing that they haven't had those kind of experiences. But until it impacts them directly, which if you're brown, it's gonna happen somewhere down the road, especially if you're male. You know, it comes around.
Yeah. I also think it all depends on your community as well, and you letting your guard down. Because when I lived in Bridgeport, it was less diverse than now I live in Naugatuck. And I think when I first moved to Naugatuck, my own guard was up because I was just like, okay, there's not a lot of, especially where I live, a lot of diversity, not a lot of people that look like me. So I was like, okay, what am I gonna expect? But my neighbors have been amazing, like really, really amazing. Last year when I was going through my health issues and I was in Florida recovering, they had the police come to my house twice to do a wellness check because they were like, we haven't seen you, we haven't seen Milo, what's going on? We just want to make sure you're okay. And I had to let them know, like, I'm in Florida recovering. But just to see how much they cared and actually took notice, so it taught me a lot about,
it's a beautiful thing when you come into a community and you feel like you're welcome, but it's just a matter of moving one community over that you might experience something entirely different.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's over yet. I think we're still working on it, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and I would also highlight when we start working with our kids in the school system, it becomes very vivid how some children are treated differently. And although they may say, no, all the kids are treated equal, we follow certain protocols and standards, you can see sometimes where one child is treated differently from another child, or the expectation is different, or the assumption that one child is the one to blame usually. And sometimes it is often based on the color of their skin. Like automatically, oh no, it was that child. He's the one that did that, or she's the one that did that. It couldn't possibly be these other child. And it's just something to be aware of so that we're having those conversations, and we're taking everything with a grain of salt so we can have better understanding to help the child be able to get that support.
Cool, yeah.
Which leads us into, opportunities in a parent-child conversations. Every encounter can be used as an opportunity to be able to connect with the child, to be able to enhance the child's self-worth. Again, having those conversations, having the conversation with a child and listening to what they have to say. Help the child understand themselves and their story as well, and to help the child develop a sense of belonging.
So this is again the same foster parent that we had seen earlier. talking about acknowledging white privilege.
White privilege is something we use to describe unearned benefits that people who are white get simply because they're white. For many of us that are white, we don't notice white privilege. What does white privilege look like? It looks like when I walk into a store or a restaurant, I expect to be treated with respect, and generally I am. I expect to be given the best available table, and generally I am. I expect to go to the mall and not be harassed or followed in a store if I'm just browsing and not buying, as if I might be stealing something. That's not always true for people of color. Therefore, white privilege. It's important to think about white privilege as a white parent parenting a child of color, because fundamentally, my experience of life is different than my children's. And that has everything to do with how I'm going to be a good parent to them. If I don't get that first important piece, I'm going to have trouble understanding what's happening to them, what they're feeling, what they're experiencing, and how they might respond to it. It allows me to become their ally if I understand what it is and name it. Just like we do with kids, we have to name things for ourselves too.
More more than meets the eye when intersecting identities, recognizing that just like in the video, when the kids were stating what nationalities they were, it wasn't just one, they were multicultural. So being able to recognize that and be able to help that child celebrate them as well, and finding ways to help them see themselves in others, that that it's more of a positive light. And if they have any questions, being able to have those discussions and those conversations with the youth.
So promoting positive racial and cultural identity, we just want to make sure we're always talking to our kids about how they view themselves, how they see themselves in the world, and being able to take that pride in who they are so that they can grow up to have that pride with them too, and not feel ashamed of that their family did something different from another family, or that they were viewed different, or having those stigmas that sometimes come with these things. So challenges to identity, what does the child see? We really want to ask those questions to our kids of like, how do you see yourself? How do you identify yourself? And it's really hard when you have a really little kid and you ask them, how do you identify yourself? They're going to be like, what do you mean? Because that's a big word, right? So you got to break it down a little more. I remember asking my son this question when he was far too young, because his sister was talking about it and her viewing herself as Hispanic, but she doesn't look Hispanic in her words, because she looks so white. And then my son, she looks to him and goes, well, how do you identify yourself? Like, how do you tell people what you are? And he said, I identify, he was being funny. He was like, as a pretty princess. That was his whole thing. He just wanted to be a clown and just be funny about it. So you have to be mindful of these things when you're talking to really young kids, because they might not be there yet. And I think it was Tony, you had said, like, sometimes the really little kids were like, they don't see it. They don't view it. And so that's where you have to really take into account, where is their chronological and developmental age? And so we can have these conversations around identity and how they view themselves, because it might be too soon, right? They may not have started forming those pieces of themselves. And then it's going into also combating some internalized racism for our kids that are growing up in a system with child welfare, where there is sometimes that internalized racism or feeling something poor about themselves or viewing themselves in a negative light. We want to make sure we're highlighting those things and trying to help our kids start to see that and course correct so that they feel that pride of themselves and see the beauty in their cultural diversity and the differences that they do have, that it's not a bad thing, that it's a beautiful thing, and what that means for them. Michelle, anything else that you wanted to highlight with that piece? No?
I think it will be important to have those conversations with them. And again, in the language where it will, that they understand.
Mhm.
And checking in with them to see if there was anything said, or if there was anything that they viewed on TV, whatever the case may be, just checking in to see how, what if they heard or if they were told something, and being able to talk about it and address it.
Yeah, and so important also, like, checking in on, like, what did they see on either the news or social media? TikTok is full of stuff that these kids are watching and scrolling through, and how is that also influencing them in any type of way?
Challenges to identity, what the family needs to see. Being able to see at times what the first thing that individuals do see is the differences first, right? Those are it's like it's like when people are able to quickly identify the negative, right? So they quickly identify what is the differences between us. It could be helpful to being able to introduce that youth to others, and see that everyone is different, that there's individuality amongst everyone, especially in a homecoming, especially going into a home where the individuals don't look like one another, right? And being able to talk about that freely. The best defense is a good defense. Again, being proactive, if possible, kind of start thinking about situations and discuss how you would respond to them. Also helping that youth to kind of start thinking about situations that they may encounter, and how would they respond. Not waiting for the child to come to you, but again, going to the child and having discussions with them. Taking notice, first thing, being able to discuss with the youth, again, to be able to strategize, what could you say? And again, being able to check in with that youth, especially if they come to you and they say, hey, this happened to me today. It's like, oh, we talked about this. Did it work? Oh, let's revamp that then. Let's find another solution, another way that we can address that. The importance of attention to race and racism. Again, being able to pay close attention to the youth, using opportunities in the environment to be able to address how to handle different situations, utilizing like what was mentioned before, if you're watching a movie together, being able to use those situations as ways to be able to address again, bringing attention to race and the racism, but how can we help not necessarily address it, but recognizing that this situation wasn't okay. How did that make you feel? And be able to process with the youth. Combating racism, I don't know why I have a hard time saying that word, but combating racism, again, it's the job of a parent, being able to acknowledge that it's happening, not brushing it under the rug, not pushing it to the side, being able to validate the child's feelings about it, not, helping the child understand what's happening and why. And again, keeping in mind, developmentally where the child is at as well. Making sure the child knows that there's nothing wrong with them. There's things to celebrate, right? And being able to point those things out. And being part of the solution for that youth.
And really, like, it's really about making sure that we're just building that supportive environment for our kids so that they can combat any of the challenges that they may experience or they might be confused by. So again, it's just reinforcing that open communication and building that trust and that relationship so you can help best support them. Any questions or comments about any of the stuff we've talked about today?
I have a comment. I'm so happy for this this talk that we're having because my childhood was rough because of that. We moved from the Bronx to Hartsdale, New York, and it was like 4 African American families in the whole neighborhood. And I was walking to one of my cousin's house up the hill, and these white guys came with dungarine jackets, cursing the N-word. And I ran home. I was in the 6th grade. I ran home, and I was like, oh, I was just like, Dad, please, let's go back to the Bronx. Let's go back to the Bronx. Please, please. I hate it here. And my dad's response was, you'll adapt. And he left it at that. And like, I'm like, but I did adapt. You know, I'm not saying that I didn't adapt, but there was no like the conversation and I was like in panic. These kids, I threw rocks at them. They cursed me out. I ran from them. I made it home. And my father gave me just 2 words, you'll adapt. And, you know, I adapt, but it was like, I like this, the tools that you're giving us because every kid might not adapt like that. So I appreciate this.
We need it
Yeah,
more.
absolutely. You may adapt, but it doesn't mean like without any of those scars and hurdles along the way that get, you know, picked up, because it definitely impacts your own identity and your own resilience and some trauma as well around those. And when we talk also about allowing our kids to have other opportunities to be around their culture and community, I think back to my own childhood. I grew up in Long Island, but every weekend and every summer, I was in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So I was around like my family lived all around on all the different, there was 2 blocks, they were all there. So I just got to wander and be fine and free in Brooklyn and be around all the people that spoke the language, listened to the same music, ate the same food. So it was really nice to be able to escape the very white neighborhood I was growing up in, to be able to be around people that shared the same aspects of my life and my home life, and the same smells, because smells are such a thing too that we sometimes forget and overlook. You can walk into someone's house and be like, oh, you have an inkling of their culture and their background, because smells are part of it. It's the things we cook, the lotions we use, the bath products we use are very cultural as well. And thinking of those things too in preparation for a young person coming into your home who may not have the same background as you. Anyone else have anything they want to add or share? So next week we are scheduled to meet Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So just wanted to remind everyone about that. One of the days we will be focusing on FFT training. And as part of that, there are 2 YouTube videos that are a little lengthier. So I will send them by tomorrow to you all so you can view at your leisure. And it's not like, oh, watch them by tomorrow. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on anyone.
What's
But so that way, Huh?
What's FFT?
So FFT is what the therapeutic evidence-based model that we use at Family and Children's Aid because we're doing therapeutic foster care. It stands for Functional Family Therapy. And so there is a portion of this training that is focused just on what functional family therapy is, what it looks like, and what to expect when the clinician is in your home doing those family sessions, and what the evidence-based model is all about. But as part of that, there are 2 YouTube videos that they like us to show. And so I will send them to you ahead of time so you guys are able to watch it at your pace. Since we have a nice long holiday weekend and you can get it done, and so that we're not asking you guys to watch it from one day to the next.
Okay.
Okay.
Question.
Mhm.
On the pre-service, there was which one was it? There's a few of them. Like the last 3. When they ask you the questions and then they ask you for they ask for email, were we supposed to put our email? Because my email is sitting on top. So is my own email. Just write it
It's
in.
So I
Okay.
think that's usually for the certificate part, right, Michelle? At
There's
the
no certificate at the end. It just says it's recorded. Like it recorded it. And I guess it
Yeah.
just sends it to y'all automatically. Because I didn't see any certificate at the end.
Oh, some of them didn't have certificates.
Yeah.
Right.
There
But
were
it lets,
some
so what it does is that
as completion.
when you type it in and it gets sent, what happens, it lets us know that it's sitting there, and with your identify, when you're putting in your email, we know that it's you.
Oh, okay. It was something else I had to ask. Okay, I forgot. But I had called Samantha to ask her earlier, but I didn't get any answer. But that's
She did a half day today, so she
oh,
wasn't in the
okay.
office full day. So we can let her know that you reached out, and so she can reach out to you tomorrow. And
That's just
also,
I remember the question. I don't even remember. It was something about that.
so on our last day when we all meet, Samantha will also join us on that day, and she's gonna go over her checklist and how she keeps things organized for you guys. So as these certificates and things that you're completing come through and she gets them in the system, how she organizes it and keeps track of it to show you guys. So she'll be going over that as well.
Oh, okay. I remember now. Okay, so I have my CPR already. But it's in my job email. And I don't want to send it through my job phone. So can I take a picture? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Take a picture and you can email it or you can text it. Whatever's
Oh,
going to work, because then we'll upload it to the site. And as long as it's still within the year, it should be fine.
Okay.
Oh, ladies, quickly, the form that I dropped off today, I asked them to give it to Michelle, but if they didn't see Michelle, to give it to Mindy.
Okay.
So we could check with Mindy if
No worries. They
that.
are fantastic in reception and communicating with Mindy and Michelle on anything that gets dropped off. So they will get it downstairs to us. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
They're on Waterbury? I guess.
No, they're in Danbury.
No, we're
Yeah, there's an office in Waterbury.
So our main office that we work out of, like our team works out of, is the Waterbury office, but we do have the Danbury office as well, and we service the whole Danbury region. But our location of where like Michelle and I and our team hang out at is Waterbury.
Oh, I have to apply.
No, homes it's beautiful
yeah.
buildings. They put up some new buildings. It's really nice.
Oh, nice.
They some old buildings too.
So any other questions or concerns?
Can't think of anything right now. I had a question earlier, but I didn't write it down, so it went poof. So next time I'll write it down.
It's in the air tonight. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good. But then I will send those links tomorrow with the YouTube videos so that you guys all get those and can watch them for next week. And then we'll see you guys on Monday. We hope you guys really enjoy your holiday week.
Have a great weekend,
Bye.
ladies.
Okay, you too.
And gentlemen, and Sam.